Okay, I just want to say really greetings to the people of the Virgin Islands. This is really a great opportunity right now for us to just share our thoughts regarding our recently completed session. We had an official session today. Began earlier this morning and we completed it a little while ago. I think we were able to address some really important quality of life measures that really impact the people of the Virgin Islands in general. I know we had some, started out with the housing, rezoning. We had an opportunity to vote on a rezoning opportunity where the owners will now be focusing on potentially building 100 new affordable housing units on the western end of St. Thomas. We know we are in a housing crisis here in the territory. It's really happening nationally, but it is even more critical here in the U.S. Virgin Islands. So this opportunity, once things really flow as it should really open up some meaningful opportunities to our people of the Virgin Islands. We had an opportunity also, of course, to vote on the SNAP, extension of the SNAP benefits for the month of November. As you know, with the government shutdown, that was a very significant and pressing issue, the availability of SNAP funds for the month of November. So we took the bull by the horn after we recognized that this problem existed. We met as a body and we immediately identified a potential funding source, the Budget Stabilization Fund. We crafted legislation, reached out to the executive branch, and worked cohesively. I think that's really the big thing. We were able to work together to come up with a strategy to bridge that funding gap when it comes to residents of the territory, most vulnerable citizens in the territory being able to access SNAP funding for the month of November. So that was a big deal for us, and we immediately signed that legislation and forwarded it to Government House. My understanding is that the team is right now, as we speak, beginning to process checks for our citizens. We honored a number of noteworthy Virgin Islanders. I always say that progressive societies honor and support and recognize those among us who achieve significant significant things in our community. If we don't recognize them, who will? So we're able to recognize Pumpa, big-time soca artist. Of course, we recognize Dr. Alfred Anduze for his outstanding and long-standing contributions to the territory. And Senator Bailey, I know this resolution is one that you initiated, the resolution petitioning the Congress of the United States to amend federal law to include Virgin Islanders as full participants in the Affordable Care Act. And that's a big one for you.
Very
so
big.
I want you to really elaborate on that.
A lot has been going on in Washington for the past couple of weeks. We know that there is a shutdown in the federal government, and the shutdown is basically a disagreement between Republicans and Democrats in terms of the path moving forward for Americans in reference to health access and health insurance. And the Democrats have been very vocal and adamant that they believe that the subsidies that were provided under COVID should extend and continue for that population that can't afford the dramatic increase in premiums that's about to take place on Saturday. So they have said that we're not going to reopen the government or agree to any continuing resolution until those issues are addressed, and also some issues with Medicaid funding, in which Medicaid funding was cut. Now, we have seen the impact. It is impacting the Virgin Islands. It's impacting individuals who work in federal programs. It's impacting all the Virgin Islanders that work at TSA at the airport, they're presently not being paid. They didn't receive a paycheck this week. And when I looked at the situation, the main reason as to why the government is shut down is literally an issue that is not applicable to the Virgin Islands. So they're quarreling rightfully for affordable health care under the Affordable Care Act. But in the Virgin Islands, we are not allowed to apply for the Affordable Care Act. So those individuals in the private sector, they can't go on the marketplace. And the irony was, I was like, well, they're subsidizing, they call it about a subsidy to make sure that it's affordable. And it's kind of ironic, I don't want to say hypocritical, but it's ironic that that same quarrel is not even being made for the Virgin Islands to be allowed to at least apply in the marketplace. So we think that this is the best time possible,
Sure.
because a lot of times the Virgin Islands is lost because we're a smaller jurisdiction and individuals don't understand how stuff impact us. So we believe that this is the best time for us to make the plea that we want to be a part of the Affordable Care Act, and we also need for our Medicaid benefits to be revisited, because we do have a cap in the Virgin Islands and we have other stuff that is not on the mainland. And healthcare is an important component for us, and we know that if we get inclusion into this Affordable Care Act, it's going to help the island in ways that we can't imagine. It's going to reduce the amount of monies that our hospitals are asking for, because you have more insured individuals that are going to the hospital. It's going to increase healthcare. We have a lot of individuals who have ailments, who are sick, but they don't go to the doctor because they can't afford the cost of surgeries and the cost of healthcare. So it's a push. We had a discussion, the president, myself, and two other senators. We had a discussion with the delegate to Congress in reference to moving this initiative forward. And she was very receptive and said that she would also use a resolution to push her case on the mainland. So we're hoping that this is a win. It's been a long 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
The Senate President presided over a meeting yesterday that went from 10 o'clock until 8 o'clock last night. And we didn't go home. As soon as the meeting was done, we went into caucus and we met until 11:15 last night, and then came back this morning. So he did a really, really good job. We had some very meaningful legislation that was passed. The constitutional bill that was passed to allow them to receive some funding for this fiscal year, and to also delay the date of submission. Despite we had a little back and forth in terms of the dates, every single member of the Senate wanted to see the Constitution done.
Sure. So
that bill passed overwhelmingly. We had a next bill, I had it here, amnesty for tax, property tax, income tax, waiving penalties and interest. That is a way for us to try to generate as much money as possible for the government of the Virgin Islands. And overall, I think that today was just a very productive day. And I think we've had a number of productive sessions. And this was just one more in which we're looking at those quality of life issues. Another $2.7 million for SNAP benefits, very important. We know that we've seen some movement now in the mainland. 25 states and Washington, D.C. have filed a lawsuit in federal court to request that those funds are to be released. The judge is going to rule on it this afternoon. We hope it's a good ruling that would benefit the Virgin Islands, and that those individuals will not be getting 50%, will get the entire 100%, sure, which would be a big boost for the Virgin Islands. But I think with everything that is taking place, we need to have a different appreciation for everything in the Virgin Islands. Sometimes we don't think about the bigger impact, but the bigger impact is here on us right now, and we need to look at what is taking place, and those individuals that are receiving all of the benefits really need to revisit and make sure that they are prudently using the monies, sure, and those that are able to try to acquire a different skill set and be able to be employed, that they begin to pursue that.
Absolutely. I wanted to circle back around, Senator BLA, regarding the 6th Constitutional Convention. And I know we've been at it for literally decades. And the questions that we had was, what makes this time different from the past years where we were not successful in being able to adopt the Constitution. I think what was really encouraging to me was the composition of
Yes.
this Constitutional Convention. Being able to hear from some of the younger millennials and they probably aren't even millennials, they're younger than that. I think it was Daniel, Mr. Hodge, some of these young people, to see the energy and the commitment that they have to this process. And I think my hope is that they are going to be in a position to reach out to their generation in particular of young people who are basically absent for past Constitutional Convention votes. And if they are able to really reach this sector of the Virgin Islands populace that has been pretty much not engaged, I think it should make a huge difference in us taking this one over the top. They say 7 is a lucky number. We don't really want to do.
No, we want to stay at 6. We want to stay at 6.
So we want to stay at 6. I don't think the funding that we extended to them wasn't an extreme amount.
It wasn't
anything.
It wasn't.
And just based on how they are going to be utilizing it, I think, and I hope and I pray that it will be money well spent. So I expect to see great results from this one. They made a persuasive argument to me. Initially, my thinking was that these events should be at a high turnout activity like a gubernatorial election, but they were very much focused on having something that will stand alone. When you're coming out because there is a sincere interest and understanding and appreciation for the Constitution, for developing this new Constitution. And they also made a commitment to stepping up their game in terms of advertising and social media. And these young people are really great at navigating the social media process. So I was very encouraged and hopeful.
And I think that's a key difference. Those young individuals, it's such a good mix because you have senior members that were past members of the 4th and 5th Constitution.
Yeah.
You have individuals that were former senators. You have Senator Uzi Richards, Senator Liliana Belado, Senator Sedma Hodge, Senator Ronnie Russell, and then you have these young educated individuals who are really proponents of the Virgin Islands, having the self-governance and achieving this document. So they bring a tremendous energy.
They do.
And in 2009, we had social media, but not to the level that we have it. Social media have just expanded so quickly that I don't even know if we can keep up with it. I'm having trouble keeping up with it. But just a whole different realm in terms of what they can and will be able to do. The Virgin Islands now have a number of influencers and that's the word,
influencers.
And TikTok and social media, and we could engage those individuals with consistent messaging. They're just the medium. I mean, Facebook, TikTok, is Instagram. It's so great, and we have individuals, young individuals, who know how to use the media.
They know it.
Who's going to be pushing it, and if we can get out a certain percentage of the population, I think it's going to be better. And I used to think before too, let's do a big general election, but the general election, the hype is about government house.
It's true.
Who's going to win for governor?
It's true.
And then after the hype is, well, let me elect some senators. And then as you go down and you go to the boards, the hype decrease. And by the time we reach to that, individuals don't even want to read the last question on the ballot.
Yeah.
But if you do it as a separate election, every single person that going out, is
going out intentionally to vote for the convention.
And maybe we need to be creative in terms of how individuals will be able to cast the ballot.
Yeah.
That it don't necessarily have to be one particular day, but it could be spread out through events. That you have a big event, you have the voting machine there, you have the vote, because everything is electronic. So you can say, hey, you registered to vote, you needed to vote on this particular issue. And then you have the day where you have the election where everybody else that didn't vote could show up. But we need to be creative.
I love the idea
of
working with the Board of Elections, the supervisor of election, and the commission.
Their proposed date is July 3rd.
Yeah.
July 3rd, St. John racking.
It is.
So you can imagine really having a voting machine.
Yeah.
July 3rd, July 4th.
Yeah.
At the marina. Right by the boat to go over.
You are going to
And when
capture
those thousands of people go in, you just, hey, come, I just need a minute. Show your card and you advertise it, you know. I mean, you even get a discount on your boat ride if you boat. I mean, there's so much creative ways that we can do.
Absolutely. Because
it got to be successful. I hope that the document that is produced is one in which would be favorable and respect the sovereignty of the United States, that we don't have issues within the document that will stop the vote. Because
that has been an issue in the past.
Yes.
1 or 2 issues have prevented this constitutional pass.
And I think this group knows it. So it's going to be interesting because they're also going to come up with a mechanism or the process for election of senators and districting and everything else. So I think they're going to be a bit different after that. But we are part of the process in terms of facilitating the Constitution. And this institution is the source of where the money goes through in order to keep the Constitution going. And the president have been good to advance money to make sure that the process continue when they have not received the budget allotment.
Absolutely.
So, you know, hats off to the 36th Legislature and hats off on a job well done today.
For sure. I don't want to stop before mentioning, it may seem trivial, but the Stanley Bill.
It's
naming
significant.
Peter Carl Lindberg Park, naming it now the TSK Park in honor of the 10 Sleepless Night Quilby Band. I mean, we've all grown up with Stanley and the 10 Sleepless Nights. At least people in my era. Some of the young people I'm looking at right now, they may be a little too young to fully grasp.
The band is older than them.
The band is older than them. But it's really an awesome opportunity for us to really pay homage to a band, a group that has been synonymous with culture and music of the Virgin Islands, indigenous music of this territory. And it'll be an awesome opportunity for us to do that. I was telling them on the floor, I was telling you guys on the floor that I know my brother, at St. Thomas, we are a little deprived when it comes to experiencing the full Stanley experience. They're working to actually get them here, not for the whole, just for a minute.
I already know the schedule. But your brother was super instrumental in getting back the Serenade in St. Croix and in recording it, archiving it. I mean, he did phenomenal work. And he is a known Stanley Serenader, dancing on the street, even when he was lieutenant governor. The bodyguards used to have a hard time keeping up with him because he's weaving through the crowd. But for the first time, there's a group on St. Thomas that's trying to get them over here on Christmas Day. And they're going to come right into Emancipation Garden when the choirs are singing. It should be a really, really nice experience.
Really looking forward to it.
We're going to have them 3 days on St. Croix. One in the west, one mid-island, one east. And then the same park that the name is going to be changed in their honor. There's going to be a ceremony there December 12th where we do a tree lighting ceremony where various businesses, they decorate the trees in the park, and then we have a tree lighting ceremony, the seal pan, and then they play. Stanley is always an invited guest. It's a beautiful, beautiful setup. I got to shout out to my wife. She was one of the individuals that started that initiative. And a lot of people in Christian said, and Frederick said, they didn't even know the park exists.
Wow.
It was after we did the tree lighting and it came in. Oh my God, I drive here every day, but I never looked in. I didn't know it was a park. And now this park would be named in honor of true culture bearers on St. Croix, a band that does a lot of outreach in the schools, the senior centers, a band that provides scholarship to band students to go to college. We have 2 or 3 students who have returned home who are now teaching in the public school system that receive scholarships from TSK. So it's just a wonderful thing for us to be able to preserve, and we are part of it. I had to have some time regimes.
Definitely. She's the prime sponsor of the initiative.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, love it. So, I mean, that's in a nutshell a lot of what we did today. I know one sort of cleanup thing that we did also was the return to work bill that allows individuals to come back after retiring from government, allowing you to come back. One loophole or one unintended consequence was that teachers, police officers, and nurses were left out unintentionally. So we were able to circle back around, clean up the language. So now it's going to be applicable to teachers and nurses who do their time and are collecting their annuity. They can also come back to work, as a nurse, as a teacher for an additional 6 years while we, continuing to enjoy their retirement annuity, which they earned.
That's a very important
bill. A very important bill, particularly for in education.
Education.
Yeah.
And we had teachers in St. Thomas who have been working.
Yep.
And not getting paid. Okay? And they said, but I can't leave the students needed for graduation. So
that's the level of commitment that we have.
I'm hoping that the department will retroactively go back and deal with those. But that's an excellent bill, Senator, that you are able to advance.
Definitely. So, quality of life, that's what it's about. That's why the people of the Virgin Islands elected us. So it's always a joy when we can do something meaningful that positively impact the lives of the people who live in this territory.
And just want to close with the president is going to schedule a next session. So he's had quite a number of sessions. But the next session will be within the next 17 days.
Yes.
And that session has a big item in it. And the big item is the 2 solar farms for St. Thomas.
Yeah.
So we're really trying to push the 2 solar farm, because I don't know how you guys are living over here with the electricity going every single day. Thank God I have stable electricity where I live in St. Croix. But this is going to be for 2 solar farm that's going to produce quite a bit of kilowatt that would enable WAPA to put some of the units down and do the necessary maintenance. And these units would also, the solar farm would also be able to deal with that peak demand. So I'm hoping that once we get it done, that by next year, March or April, when those farms are commissioned, that the number of power outage in St. Thomas will severely be reduced. Because right now, it's impacting businesses, it's impacting education. This constant power outage, the students can't stay in the classroom. It's just an overall impact.
Disruption.
Tourism, individuals saying it's also. We need to get it done. We are committed to getting that done. And once the requisite paperwork from the CCM is sent to us on Government House, we have already told them that we have this date. So now it's on you to get the permit down to us, because we are ready to deal with it. But you need to send it down to us. And the President have been very straightforward in making sure that the requisite laws are complied with. And we're doing the same thing for this.
Exactly.
So, thank you.
Well said. Thank you very much. Thanks, Senator Viale, for everything. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. All the best. I think this might be the last time I was thinking that this might be the last time before Thanksgiving. I was going to say Happy Thanksgiving.
No, we have a next one.
That might be too much show. We have another session before this.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.